Hi, my name is Zach Dewhurst and I'm the owner of Print Phase. When you print garments with screen print transfers, there are a few common problems that occur from time to time, and it's important to know what to do when it happens. Now, let's start by looking at Kraft paper, which can be your best friend and your worst enemy if you don't get rid of it before you should. Kraft paper can last for hundreds of prints, but it should be thrown away the minute it becomes dull or creased, like this. As you can see, it is very, very dull. Now, Kraft paper is used for peace of mind purposes the majority of the time to help heat seal a finished transfer. If you actually press it with this dull Kraft paper, you will end up dulling the print. This top print has been hit with Kraft paper that is not dulled, and the bottom has been hit with Kraft paper that was dulled. Again, as you can see, the top is much more opaque and brighter of a white than the bottom. Another common problem that you might run into is using your parchment paper for too long. Parchment paper is primarily used to heat seal glitter and metallic prints. Now, good parchment paper starts out just like this, nice and white. It's not meant to last as long as Kraft paper, but it's much cheaper. The minute it starts to wrinkle or become yellowed is when it should be tossed. Otherwise, you run the potential of damaging a finished product. When you're using parchment paper with metallics and glitter transfers to reheat seal them, you only want to use them one time. That is because some of the sparkle from the metallic and the glitter inks will actually transfer to the parchment paper. Now, although screen print transfers are easy to apply, you will run into some common problems from time to time. The three most common problems that we'll encounter when printing are poor opacity, poor adhesion, and poor release. All of these issues can be corrected by making small adjustment to the heat press variables, your time, temperature, and pressure that you're applying the transfers at. Now, poor opacity most often happens when printing with white ink onto a dark garment or a red colored garment. Now, to gain better opacity, try decreasing the pressure and/or time. This should allow the white to appear much brighter. Now, adhesion problems typically occur when there's not enough time or other variables aren't going correctly in pressing. Adhesion is when you actually have the ink coming off of the garment like this. Now, when it's coming off of the garment like this, you can then hit it again with our Kraft paper that we talked about, and that'll reseal it and cure it onto the garment, and it should be good to go from there. But to avoid these problems in the future, what you want to do is first try increasing the press time by just a few seconds, as well as the press pressure. You really want to make sure you have enough pressure on there so that it actually releases completely from the paper and does not stick to the paper in any way and is completely cured onto the garment. Again, if increasing the pressure and time does not work, try increasing the heat by a few degrees. Now, the last type of common problem is poor transfer release. And again, this is essentially when the ink wants to stick to the paper. Again, it's a little bit different than the ink actually not wanting to cure to the garment. That's a little bit different because it's typically more pressure related. When it wants to stick to the paper, there's typically something else going on. One of the bigger reasons why this might happen is you're not peeling the transfer at the right time. If it's a cold peel transfer, you have to wait 20 to 30 seconds before peeling it. If it's one of our opaque hot peel or hot split or puff transfers that are all a warm peel, you really want to peel it immediately after. So about 1 to 2 seconds after pressing, take the shirt off of the press and peel it immediately. The last common problem that may or may not occur, it's actually a lot more rare than the adhesion, opacity, and release problems, is actually having the print transfer from the front to the back. Now, it's very hard to see on video, but in person it isn't. On the back here, you can see a faint purple look. Now, it's because the front of the shirt was printed without being threaded onto the platen. If you don't thread it onto the platen, the ink can actually dye the back of the shirt and end up staining it, and washing it will not fix this. Now, this primarily only happens on charcoal and gold 50/50 and 100% cotton t-shirts. Again, most of the time, you can just simply thread the garment using most heat presses. Now, it doesn't matter how much you tweak your variables if you don't have a high quality heat press. So if you're having problems really consider getting a better or new heat press, or if you have the Stahl's Hotronics, it has a lifetime warranty. There are adjustments that can be made if you're having any problems, but you will find that this Hotronics Fusion press will do everything you need. It's just changing the time, temperature, and variable settings just a little bit. If you have any other questions about how to apply screen print transfers, please do not hesitate contacting us. Thank you.